In 1978, a country was invaded by mercenaries. They arrived by helicopter, took the prince's son hostage, and occupied the entire nation, which was one steel platform in the North Sea with a population of 2. The counterattack featured a dawn raid, a shotgun, and a stunt pilot borrowed from the James Bond films. And when it was over, Germany, an actual country, had to send an actual diplomat to a fishing platform. Number 8, the 1-Minute War. In 1982, the city of Key West, Florida, declared independence from the United States, declared war on the United States, surrendered, and then applied for $1 billion in foreign aid as a defeated nation. Total elapsed wartime, about 1 minute. It started when the federal government set up a border checkpoint on the only road connecting the Florida Keys to the mainland and began searching every single car for drugs. The traffic jam stretched for 17 miles, the tourists stopped coming, and the mayor, after suing to remove the roadblock and losing, decided that if America insisted on treating Key West like a foreign country, it might as well become one. He proclaimed the Conch Republic. Declared war by breaking a loaf of stale Cuban bread over the head of a man in a Navy uniform, and surrendered to that same man roughly 60 seconds later. The checkpoint quietly disappeared. The Republic did not. Key West still celebrates independence every April, still issues souvenir passports, and still operates under the most honest national motto ever written: "We seceded where others failed." Number 7, the Bedroom Kingdom. In 1979, the day after Christmas, a 14-year-old in Milwaukee stood up in his bedroom and announced that it was no longer part of the United States. It was now the Kingdom of Talosa, and he was its king. Most 14-year-olds would have been done by New Year's. Robert Ben Madison kept going for 25 years. The kingdom developed a flag, a parliament, political parties, contested elections, and an invented national language with tens of thousands of words, which is more vocabulary than some real languages have managed. Citizens joined from around the world, people who have never seen Milwaukee and never will, and then the inevitable happened. The kingdom that had seceded from America suffered its own secession. A group of citizens rebelled and founded a rival republic, and the king himself eventually abdicated. One bedroom in Milwaukee has now produced a monarchy, a civil war, and a government in exile. The United States, for its part, has never responded to any of it. If you'd like to support a channel with roughly the same diplomatic standing, subscribing takes one click. Number 6, the land nobody wants. Between Egypt and Sudan, there are 800 square miles of desert that neither country will claim. Not disputed, the opposite of disputed. Because of 2 conflicting colonial border lines, claiming this desert means giving up a much nicer stretch of coastline, so each government insists firmly that it belongs to the other one. It is the only patch of land outside Antarctica that no country on Earth wants. 2 nations pointing at the same sand, both saying, "It's yours." In 2014, an American farmer named Jeremiah Heaton noticed. His 7-year-old daughter had asked to be a real princess, and he, being a supportive parent, flew to Africa, drove 14 hours through the desert, planted a flag his kids had designed, and declared the Kingdom of North Sudan with his daughter as its princess. He then applied for recognition from both neighbors and the United Nations. Egypt said nothing. Sudan said nothing. A major film studio, however, said, "We'll buy the movie rights." Number 5, his tremendousness. In 1963, Giorgio Carbone, the head of a flower growers cooperative in an Italian hilltop village, dug through the archives and reached a remarkable conclusion. His village, Seborga, population 300, had never legally been part of Italy. The village had been sold to another kingdom back in the 1700s, he argued, but nobody ever registered the sale. And when Italy was unified a century later, Seborga wasn't mentioned in the paperwork, in other words, forgotten. The villagers, presented with this discovery, did the reasonable thing and elected him prince. He took the official title, His Tremendousness, which is real and which he reportedly preferred to Highness, on the grounds that tremendous was bigger. Seborga went on to mint its own currency, print its own stamps, post a border guard, and vote 304-4 for independence. The village still pays Italian taxes, uses Italian police, and elects a regular Italian mayor, while also separately maintaining a prince, and Italy's official response to 60 years of this has been a shrug, not a letter, not a lawsuit, nothing on file. Number 4, the 40-Year War. In the Nevada desert, there is a nation of about 30 citizens, most of them related to the president, called the Republic of Molossia. It has a space program, model rockets, a navy, inflatable boats, its own time zone, its own currency pegged to the value of cookie dough, and a list of banned substances that includes onions, walruses, and catfish. It also has a war since 1983. Molossia has considered itself in a state of war with East Germany. You may recall that East Germany stopped existing in 1990. Molossia does not accept this. Its position is that one tiny island near Cuba was dedicated to East Germany decades ago, was never mentioned in the reunification treaty, and that East Germany therefore legally survives there. And so the war continues. 4 decades, no battles, no shots fired, and no enemy, which the Republic regards as an unbroken winning streak. President Kevin, who founded the country as a teenager, personally stamps visitors' passports at the border. The United States government has never commented on any of this, and honestly, it's hard to know what they would add. Number 3, the country Italy blew up. In 1968, an Italian engineer named Giorgio Rosa finished building his own island, a 400-square-meter steel platform in the Adriatic Sea, about 7 miles off the beach resorts of Rimini. Positioned very carefully just outside Italian territorial waters. It had a bar, a restaurant, a souvenir shop, and a post office. He declared it an independent republic. Made Esperanto the official language and started issuing stamps. Tourists loved it. The Italian government did not. The authorities concluded that the entire nation was an elaborate scheme to sell drinks without paying taxes, which, to be fair, it partly was. 55 days after independence, police landed on the platform and blockaded it. The following winter, the Navy arrived and packed the island with explosives. The first blast failed to sink it. They came back with more explosives. It still stood. In the end, it took a winter storm to finish the job, which means Italy's navy was outperformed by weather. Rose Island remains the only country in history to be demolished by its neighbor, like an unlicensed garden shed. Number 2, the farm that beat Australia. In 1970, a wheat farmer in Western Australia named Leonard Castley received a government letter telling him how much wheat he was allowed to sell that year. Quota covering by his math roughly 1% of his crop. Leonard read the relevant laws very, very carefully, and then declared his 18,000-acre farm an independent province. It was larger than 5 real countries for 50 years. The Principality of Hutt River issued its own currency, its own stamps, and its own passports, welcomed tens of thousands of tourists a year, and claimed citizens on every continent. Prince Leonard grew into the role. In 1977, dissatisfied with how negotiations were going, he formally declared war on Australia. Hostilities ended 2 days later with no casualties of any kind, at which point he informed the government that as an undefeated nation, his sovereignty was now beyond question. Australia never sent police, never sent soldiers. It sent the one force no nation on earth can withstand. The tax office. In 2017, a court ordered the family to pay $3 million in back taxes, and the principality had to sell its own national territory to settle the bill. Number 1, the platform that won a war. 7 miles off the English coast stands a World War II gun platform roughly the size of 2 tennis courts. In 1967, a retired Army major and pirate radio operator named Roy Bates occupied it, declared it the Principality of Sealand, and presented it to his wife as a birthday gift. Britain, a government that, as covered previously on this channel, once mailed the bank details of half its population into the void, took him to court, discovered the platform stood just outside territorial waters, and gave up. Then came 1978. Sealand's own self-appointed prime minister hired German and Dutch mercenaries, waited until the royal family was traveling, and invaded, seizing the nation and taking the prince's son hostage. Roy responded the only reasonable way. He hired a helicopter pilot who had worked on James Bond films, staged a dawn raid down ropes with shotguns, took his country back, and held the invaders as prisoners of war. The one invader who carried a Sealand passport was tried for treason on the platform and fined 75,000 German marks. Britain refused to get involved, so Germany blinked and sent a diplomat from its London embassy to a fishing platform to negotiate. Sealand counts that visit as diplomatic recognition to this day. Germany does not. One last thing, everyone in this video looked at the world's 200 countries and said, "No thanks, I'll make my own." The like button is simpler. It sits directly below this video. It requires no flag, no navy, and no paperwork, and pressing it is recognized by every government on earth as perfectly fine. And if you subscribe, you become a citizen of this channel automatically. There's no tax office. Thanks for watching.